The moment everything felt off, let me tell you, something life can change in one moment. Let me tell you something straight. Life doesn't always give warnings. It doesn't send messages first. One moment, everything feels normal. The next moment, nothing feels the same. People think change takes years, but that's not true. Sometimes it takes seconds. One step through a door, one unexpected sight, one sound that hits your chest and tells you, this is different now. And in that moment, your old comfort ends. Not because you were weak, not because you failed, but because life decided to wake you up. This is how real growth begins. Not slowly, not politely. It begins when you're caught off guard and forced to face something you never planned for. When a familiar place suddenly feels wrong. There's something deeply unsettling about standing in a place you trust and feeling unsafe. A room you've walked into 100 times suddenly feels cold. The walls feel closer. The air feels heavy. Nothing looks broken, but everything feels off. That's because safety isn't just about walls and logs. It's about trust. And when trust cracks, even your own space can turn against you. Many people ignore this feeling. They tell themselves they're tired. They say they're overthinking, but your body knows before your mind admits it. When comfort disappears in a place you love, it's not random. It's a signal telling you to pay attention. That quiet voice you tried to ignore, everyone has that quiet voice inside. It doesn't shout. It doesn't panic. It simply says something isn't right. And most people silence it. They drown it with logic. They bury it under routine. Why? Because listening would mean change. And change feels risky. So they stay still. They choose comfort over truth. But that voice never disappears. It waits. It gets heavier. And one day, it forces itself into your life through shock. You didn't ignore it because you were careless. You ignored it because comfort felt easier than action. But ease today often becomes pain tomorrow. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong in your own life? Have you ever stood in your own life and felt like a stranger? Same routine, same space, same people, yet something feels missing or wrong. That feeling doesn't come from nowhere. It comes when your life no longer matches your inner warning signs. When you keep moving forward while your mind is pulling you back. Many people live like this for years. Smiling on the outside, unsettled on the inside. They call it normal. But it isn't. It's your inner self asking for honesty. Asking you to stop pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Warning signs. Always whisper before they scream. Big disasters don't arrive loudly at first. They arrive quietly. A small doubt. A strange feeling. A moment that doesn't sit right. These are whispers. And whispers are easy to ignore. Until they grow into something that can no longer be avoided. People often say this came out of nowhere. But it didn't. It came after many ignored moments. Many chances to pause. Many times you felt uneasy and kept going anyway. Life gives signs before it gives lessons. But if you don't listen early, the lesson arrives louder than you expect. Comfort is a locked door. Neglect the lock. Invite the danger. Comfort is like a locked door. When you respect it, it keeps you safe. But when you stop checking it, anything can walk in. People let their guard down when things feel calm. They stop paying attention. They stop asking questions. And danger doesn't need force when the door is already open. This is not about fear. It's about awareness. Comfort should never make you careless. Because the moment you stop protecting your peace, something else will test it. And by then, it may already be inside. When trust is violated without warning, trust is given automatically. That's why it's dangerous. Trust is something most people give without thinking. You wake up, you step into your day, and you assume things will work the way they always have. You assume people mean well. You assume systems will protect you. You assume familiar places are safe. That's not foolish. That's human. But that automatic trust can also leave gaps. When trust runs on default, awareness switches off. You stop checking. You stop noticing small changes. And that's where trouble finds space. Trust is powerful, but blind trust is risky. It should be given with eyes open, not handed over just because yesterday felt fine. Betrayal doesn't crash in, it blends in. Betrayal rarely looks like a threat. It doesn't kick the door down. It sits quietly in routine. It wears normal behavior like a mask. Same smiles, same schedules, same words you've heard before. That's why it's dangerous. People expect danger to look obvious, but real harm often hides in plain sight. It becomes part of the background. You walk past it every day without noticing. And because nothing feels urgent, you stay relaxed. By the time you realize something is wrong, it has already been there for a long time, watching, waiting, growing stronger while you stayed comfortable. You thought you were safe because nothing had happened. Yet many people measure safety by silence. They think nothing bad has happened, so everything must be fine. But silence doesn't mean protection. It just means the moment hasn't arrived yet. A calm surface can hide deep problems underneath. This is where false safety is born. You delay action because there's no pain right now. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later, but later always charges more. The truth is, danger doesn't rush. It waits until you stop paying attention. And when it moves fast. Assumptions are invitations for exploitation. Assumptions feel harmless. You assume people will respect boundaries. You assume silence means agreement. You assume no news is good news. But assumptions open doors without asking who's walking in. When you don't ask questions, someone else decides the answers. When you stay quiet, someone else speaks for you. This isn't about mistrust. It's about clarity. Clear eyes protect you. Clear words protect you. The moment you stop checking because you assume everything is fine, you give others room to act without limits. Comfort makes people careless before it makes them confident. Comfort feels good. It relaxes you. It lowers your guard. And that's where carelessness begins. People don't lose control in chaos first. They lose it in comfort. When life feels smooth, you stop watching details. You stop setting limits. You stop noticing changes. Confidence should come from awareness, not from ease. Because ease can disappear overnight, comfort should never replace attention. The moment you let comfort decide your alertness, you trade safety for convenience. Like termites in a house, damage happens quietly. Some damage doesn't make noise. It eats away slowly, day by day, from the inside. By the time you notice, the structure is already weak. That's how trust breaks. Not with one loud moment, but with many quiet ones. Ignored signs, small lies, tiny shifts, nothing dramatic, until suddenly things collapse. And people say it happened fast, but it didn't happen silently. You trusted. You assumed. You ignored. You trusted when you should have checked. You assumed when you should have asked. You ignored what felt uncomfortable. This isn't blame. This is awareness. Everyone has done this. The lesson is not to harden your heart. The lesson is to open your eyes. Trust with care. Believe with awareness. And never ignore what your inner warning signs are trying to show you. The night that stole. Sleep in peace when the world goes quiet. The mind gets loud. Night has a way of stripping away distractions. No noise, no movement. Just you and your thoughts. And when everything outside goes quiet, the inside gets louder. Thoughts you pushed away during the day come rushing back. Moments replay. Feelings you avoided step forward. The body lies still, but the mind runs. This is where reality settles in. Not during chaos, but during silence. Night doesn't create fear. It reveals what was already there, waiting to be faced. Your brain replays what your heart can't accept. The mind repeats what the heart is not ready to accept. Same scenes, same words, same questions. Over and over. You wish you could turn it off, but you can't, because the mind is trying to protect you. It's searching for understanding. It wants answers so you don't get hurt again. This isn't weakness. This is your system trying to make sense of shock. Until the heart catches up with the truth, the mind keeps replaying the evidence. Why didn't I see this earlier? This question hits hard at night. It feels heavy. It feels personal. You look back and judge yourself with today's knowledge. But you didn't see it earlier because you didn't have today's awareness. You made choices with the information you had at the time. Growth often brings regret, but regret is not meant to punish you. It's meant to teach you. Looking back isn't about shame. It's about learning where to be more alert moving forward. What else don't I know? Once doubt enters, it spreads. One unanswered question opens the door to many more. You start wondering what else is hidden. What else slipped past you? This uncertainty is unsettling, but it also sharpens awareness. It forces you to slow down, to stop assuming, to start observing. Not knowing everything is uncomfortable, but it pushes you to become more present, more careful, more aware of what's happening around you. Anxiety isn't weakness, it's an alarm. That tight feeling in your chest is not failure. It's an alarm. It's your system saying something needs attention. Ignoring it only makes it louder. Listening to it helps you regain balance. Anxiety shows you where your limits were crossed, where safety felt threatened. When you understand it as a signal, not a flaw, it becomes useful. It points you toward change instead of trapping you in fear. Your thoughts turn into a courtroom at night. Your mind puts everything on trial. Every action, every choice, every silence. Doubts argue. Memories speak. Regret takes the stand. There's no judge, no verdict, just noise. The goal isn't to silence the courtroom. The goal is to observe it calmly, to learn what each voice is trying to tell you. Once you listen without panic, the noise slowly loses its power. When authority knocks on your door, that knock divides your life into before and after. Some sounds change everything. A knock at the door can split your life in two. Before the sound, you were one person. After it, you were someone else. Not because you wanted to change, but because reality stepped in. This moment forces clarity. There is no pause button, no rewind, only forward. This is where comfort ends and truth takes control. In that moment, control leaves your hands. When authority stands in front of you, control feels distant. Your plans don't matter. Your explanations feel small. You realize how fragile control really is. Most people think they're in charge until something bigger arrives. This moment teaches humility. It shows you that control is temporary, and awareness is what truly matters. You don't choose when consequences arrive. Consequences don't wait for permission. They don't ask if you're ready. They arrive when conditions are set. Sometimes those conditions were built slowly over time. Other times they were created by silence and delay. You may not choose the timing, but you always face the result. This truth is uncomfortable, but it's honest. And honesty is the first step toward growth. Reality doesn't ask. If you're ready, reality doesn't slow down because you feel unprepared. It moves forward regardless. This isn't cruel. It's neutral. And understanding this helps you stop waiting for the perfect moment. Readiness isn't something you feel. It's something you build by paying attention and acting early. Truth hits. Like a storm, unannounced and unstoppable truth doesn't ease in gently. It arrives with force. It clears illusions. It exposes weak points. Like a storm, it doesn't ask permission to enter your life. It simply does. But storms also clear the air. They wash away what was unstable. What remains afterward is stronger, cleaner, more real. Listen, carefully running never erases truth. Running doesn't remove truth. It only delays facing it. The fastest way through is straight ahead. Listening, learning, and adjusting is how you regain your footing. Truth doesn't disappear when ignored, but when faced calmly, it becomes a teacher instead of a threat. The hard lesson. Nobody warns you about life doesn't reward ignorance, it exposes. Life is not kind to those who refuse to see what's right in front of them. Ignorance may feel safe for a while, but it never protects anyone. It only delays the lesson. You can look away, stay busy, or pretend you didn't notice, but life keeps records. And sooner or later, it brings those records back to you. Not to shame you, but to show you where you stopped paying attention. Growth doesn't come from avoiding truth. It comes from facing it early. The longer you ignore what matters, the louder life gets trying to show you. This isn't punishment. It's exposure. And exposure is how awareness is born. There's a difference between not knowing and not caring. Not knowing is human. Not caring is a choice. Many people confuse the two to stay comfortable. They say, I didn't know, when the truth is they didn't want to know. They avoided questions. They skipped hard conversations. They looked the other way because dealing with it felt uncomfortable. Innocence ends the moment signs appear. After that, silence becomes a decision. Growth begins when you admit the difference. You don't need to know everything, but you do need to respond when something feels wrong. Awareness starts where excuses end. If you don't protect your life, someone else will use it. This is hard to hear, but it's real. If you don't guard your time, your space, and your energy, someone else will decide how they're used. Not always out of harm, but out of convenience. People take what is freely available. If you never say no, others will keep taking yes. Protecting your life is not selfish. It's necessary. When you fail to protect what matters to you, you slowly lose control over it. Ownership starts with protection. And protection starts with awareness. Boundaries aren't walls. They're protection boundaries. Don't push people away. They keep chaos out. They are not about control. They are about care. When you set limits, you're not closing your heart. You're guarding your peace. Without boundaries, everything has access to you. Your time, your energy, your focus. Boundaries teach others how to treat you, but more importantly, they teach you how to treat yourself. Peace doesn't come from pleasing everyone. It comes from knowing where to stop. What you allow, what you ignore, what you tolerate, what you allow becomes normal. What you ignore grows quietly. What you tolerate repeats itself. Life takes notes from your silence. If you accept disrespect once, it returns stronger. If you ignore discomfort, it settles in. If you tolerate what drains you, it stays. Change begins when you stop excusing what hurts you. Awareness means watching patterns, not moments. And once you see the pattern, responsibility begins. Leaving the door open in a storm and blaming the rain. If you leave the door open during a storm, rain will enter. That's not the rain's fault. That's a choice. Many people blame life for damage they allowed. They ignored signs. They left doors open. Then they asked why things fell apart. Responsibility isn't about blame. It's about honesty. When you close the door early, storms pass without destroying the inside. Awareness is how you protect what matters before damage begins. From victim to observer to leader, chaos has stages, and so does growth. Chaos feels sudden, But growth moves in stages. First comes shock, then awareness, then control. No one skips steps. Trying to rush healing only creates confusion. Growth isn't about speed. It's about clarity. Each stage teaches something different. Shock shows you what matters. Awareness shows you what went wrong. Control shows you what to do next. Respect the process. It exists to strengthen you. Shock is where everyone starts. Shock freezes people. It steals words. It steals sleep. It makes simple tasks feel heavy. This doesn't mean you're weak. It means something important was shaken. Shock is the body and mind trying to catch up to reality. Don't judge yourself here. Let the moment settle. Shock passes when you stop fighting it and start observing what it revealed. Awareness begins when emotions step back. Clarity doesn't come from panic. It comes when emotions slow down enough for you to see clearly. Stepping back doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough to think. When emotions take over, vision narrows. When you step back, the picture widens. Awareness is built in calm moments, not loud reactions. Control comes when you stop reacting and start choosing. Reacting gives power away. Choosing takes it back. Reactions are automatic. Choices are intentional. When you pause, even briefly, you regain direction. Control isn't about force. It's about calm decisions made with clear eyes. Every choice shapes what comes next. What if this didn't happen to break you, but to wake you? What if this moment wasn't meant to destroy you? What if it was meant to open your eyes? Pain has a way of stripping away illusion. It forces honesty, and honesty leads to strength. Sometimes life shakes you, so you finally look at where you're standing, step onto higher ground while others drown. When chaos rises, some panic. Others step back and look for higher ground. Perspective keeps you steady when everything feels unstable. Rising above emotion helps you see a path forward. Stand up inside your own life, stand firm. Be present. Take responsibility for your space, your choices, your direction. This is where strength begins. The price of not paying attention, ignoring. The signs always cost more later. Small signs are easy to dismiss until they grow. Life gives early warnings to save you pain. Ignoring them doesn't remove the cost. It increases it. Paying attention early is easier than repairing damage later. Pain now or pain later, choose wisely. Short discomfort prevents long suffering. Facing truth early feels hard. Avoiding it feels easy. But ease now often becomes struggle later. Choosing wisely means acting before damage spreads. Emotional, mental, and life consequences don't arrive alone. Neglect affects everything. Peace fades. Focus weakens. Life feels heavier. Problems rarely stay in one area. They spread when ignored. Small neglect. Big consequences. Small choices repeat. Patterns form. Results follow. What seems minor today shapes tomorrow. Cracks in the dam are ignored until everything breaks. A crack doesn't look dangerous at first, but pressure builds. When it breaks, the damage is wide. Attention prevents collapse. Attention is the cheapest insurance you'll ever buy. Awareness costs nothing but saves everything. Paying attention today protects your future. Rebuilding control. One decision at a time. Control isn't recovered overnight. It's reclaimed daily. Control doesn't return in a dramatic moment. There's no switch that flips, no single breakthrough that suddenly restores everything you lost. That idea is comforting, but it's a lie. Real control is quieter. It comes back through ordinary choices made consistently, especially on days when motivation is low and confidence feels shaky. You don't wake up one morning fixed. You wake up one morning and decide not to give your power away again. Then you do it again the next day, and the day after that. Control is built the same way it was lost through repetition. The difference is intention. Each day, you choose what you respond to, what you tolerate, what you walk away from. Those choices compound. Slowly, almost invisibly, stability returns. Not because life got easier, but because you got clearer. Stop chasing feelings. Start choosing actions. Feelings are unreliable leaders. They rise, fall, contradict themselves, and disappear without warning. If control depends on feeling ready, calm, confident, or motivated, you'll stay stuck waiting. Power doesn't come from how you feel. It comes from what you do despite how you feel. You don't need to feel strong to act strong. You don't need clarity to take the next correct step. You don't need peace to choose discipline. Action creates emotional stability, not the other way around. Instead of asking, how do I feel today? Ask, what decision moves me forward today? Feelings will catch up later. They always do. Control belongs to those who act first and let emotions follow, not those who wait for permission from their mood. What's one boundary you need today? Not next month. Not someday. Today. One boundary. One line you stop letting people cross. One habit you stop excusing. One conversation you stop avoiding. Boundaries don't have to be dramatic to be effective. They just have to be enforced. A boundary can be as simple as saying no without explaining, or walking away without announcing it, or refusing to engage in arguments that drain you. Ask yourself honestly, where am I leaking energy? That's where the boundary belongs. Control begins the moment you decide that your peace is not negotiable. Not everyone needs access to you, and not everything deserves your attention. Every decision is a brick in the life you're rebuilding. Rebuilding doesn't happen with grand gestures. It happens brick by brick. One early morning, one hard conversation, one disciplined choice when no one is watching. Every decision you make is construction. You are either reinforcing your foundation or weakening it. There is no neutral. What you eat, what you tolerate, what you avoid, what you commit to, it all stacks up. You don't need perfect days. You need honest ones. Days where you choose alignment over comfort. Days where you choose long-term respect over short-term relief. Keep placing bricks. Even on days it feels slow. Especially on those days, rebuild the house with stronger locks and clearer rule you. Don't rebuild just to recreate what failed. You rebuild to correct it. Stronger locks mean better boundaries. Clearer rules mean higher standards for others and for yourself. The old version let too much slide. Trusted too quickly. Explained too much. Ignored warning signs. This time, you build with intention. Who gets access? Under what conditions? What happens when lines are crossed? A secure house isn't unwelcoming, it's protective. Structure isn't punishment. It's prevention. And prevention is power. Self-respect is protection, not arrogance. Self-respect doesn't shout. It doesn't need validation. It quietly refuses what dishonors it. When you respect yourself, you stop negotiating your worth. This isn't ego. It's insurance. Against chaos. Against manipulation. Against repeating old patterns. Control grows where self-respect lives because you stop abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable, turning fear into fuel. Fear is energy. What you do with it is the difference. Fear isn't weakness. It's raw energy. The problem isn't fear, it's how most people waste it. They let it spiral into paralysis, self-doubt, and avoidance. But fear can also sharpen focus, heighten awareness, and drive action. The body doesn't know the difference between fear and excitement. Both activate you. One keeps you frozen. The other pushes you forward. The difference is direction. Fear becomes fuel the moment you stop running from it and start using it. Fear can freeze. You are focus, you uncontrolled. Fear locks you in place. It fills your head with worst-case scenarios and convinces you that doing nothing is safer than moving forward. But focused fear does the opposite. It makes you alert, strategic, intentional. Fear shows you what matters. Where there's fear, there's importance. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of this? Ask, what is this preparing me for? Fear narrows vision when ignored, but sharpens it when directed. The same fire that burns can also build. Fire destroys when it's wild. It builds when it's contained. The same heat that burns a forest for miles can forge steel when controlled. Fear works the same way. When fear runs you, it consumes. When you run fear, it strengthens. It keeps you alert to danger, motivates preparation, pushes growth. You don't need less fear, you need better control over it. Uncontrolled. Fear destroys. Directed fear drives. Uncontrolled fear leads to overthinking, hesitation, and regret. Directed fear creates discipline. It makes you prepare instead of panic. Train instead of avoid. Act instead of freeze. Fear becomes destructive only when you let it wander without purpose. Give it a job. Aim it at progress. Use it to fuel learning, boundaries, and forward motion. That's how fear turns from enemy into ally. Use it, aim it, move. Use the fear. Instead of fighting it, aim it instead of letting it scatter. Move before doubt convinces you to stop. Momentum silences fear faster than reassurance ever will. Action is louder than anxiety. Once you move, fear loses its grip because it was never meant to stop you, only to prepare you. Forward motion is the antidote to fear. Fear feeds on stillness. Motion starves it. Even imperfect movement builds confidence. Keep going. Fear fades when progress begins. The final wake-up call. Life will interrupt you. Whether you're ready or not, life doesn't ask permission before it changes everything. It interrupts routines, relationships, plans, and identities without warning. Waiting until you feel ready is a luxury reality doesn't offer. The question isn't whether life will test you. It's whether you'll be paying attention when it does. Preparation isn't paranoia, it's respect for reality. You don't need perfection. You need awareness. Perfection is unnecessary and unrealistic. Awareness is essential. Awareness notices patterns, red flags, shifts in behavior, small discomforts before they become disasters. You don't need to control everything. You need to notice enough to respond early. Awareness gives you options, and options are power. Awareness is what keeps small problems from becoming big ones. Big breakdowns usually start small. Ignored feelings, dismissed instincts, delayed conversations. Awareness catches the crack before the collapse. Paying attention doesn't make life harder. It makes it cheaper. Emotionally, mentally, personally. Protect your space. Protect your mind. Protect your future. Your environment shapes your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your decisions. Your decisions shape your future. Protection isn't fear, it's wisdom. Protect what influences you, what drains you, what distracts you. Guard your attention like it matters because it does. Pay attention. Take control. Move forward. Pay attention to what's real. Take control of what's yours. Move forward. Without waiting for permission. That's how you stay ready. That's how you stay powerful.